Having a good leader is very important. The person is at the front and keeps an eye on how the other team is performing. And the rest of the team focuses on the back of their leader's head and follows their lead for the first 10 seconds. You have to hold your ground. You should lean back, practically lie down. Push your lower abdomen up to the sky as hard as you can.
What's up guys, I'm Ari Renee for those who don't know, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Squid Games and to really be careful what you guys wish for. So you guys know that lately my channel has been more about spirituality and manifesting and things of that nature. Our thoughts become our reality and all that. And as I was watching Squid Games, like a lot of people were looking at it, you know, just for like how the games were and how intense it was. But I was also looking at it as like the lessons that were in there between the different players. So we're really just going to talk about that today and talk about different players. All of them might not have a lesson. Some of them I will just talk about briefly because they were some of my favorite characters. But for one, let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's take this jacket off first of all. Oh, I stay in South Georgia and it was hot to record outside, okay? So let's talk about the famous show on Netflix, still #1 to this day. It's October 11th, Squid Game. So if you have not watched it yet, or you plan on watching it and you want to know everything for yourself, just go ahead and click off this video. There's going to be some spoilers in between the different characters here. Now, as I go through this, these characters, I'm not going to pronounce their real name because I do not want to mess up anyone's name. I am American, I am Southern, so I just don't want to pronounce anybody's name wrong. To talk about my two characters really quick from the little skit that I do, by the way, this is my first skit, so give me some slack. I was a one-woman show, so give me some slack. My character in the black wig, which these are exact same wigs, the character that is in the black wig was more of the nervous, but I kind of got it, kind of don't, like second guessing herself, doubting herself, and things of that. She was originally the stronger team from Squid Games, but I kind of mixed it up a little bit for the skit, obviously. The one in the pink hair, which is the one who ended up living, is the one that was on the weaker team but had the old man's advice to lean back. She was the more confident one, the one who's like, I got this, like the money is mine. So that's kind of where I kind of played and mixed the storyline up a little bit. So I did that on purpose. If you guys have been keeping up with my videos, I had a video where I was pulling affirmations, which I will probably link here or whatever side it ends up being on, hopefully this side. I was pulling affirmations and I talked about how we had to be careful what we manifest for, especially when it came to things like love and money. Alright, sorry for that interruption. Somebody rang on my doorbell. Nobody ever rings on my doorbell. But yes, so I talked about how we had to be careful what we manifested for, especially when it came to love and money. I basically talked about how manifestation can be like getting 3 wishes from a genie in a bottle. Yes, you can wish for money and get that money, but look at all the people that had to die just for him to get that 44.5 million yen, some billion, something, whatever the amount was. Look at what had to happen for him to get that money. They all wanted it. They were all asking for money. Some were stronger in mind strength, stronger in many ways than the other one. So that's another reason why I kind of made this, because as I was laying in bed, I really thought like Squid Games had a lot of lessons. Let's talk about them. So let's get into these lessons. In the game, Squid Games, they end up playing a total of 6 games. In each game, there were people who were eliminated in order to receive a large sum of money for people who were in debt. With them being eliminated, they figured out that eliminated means that they were basically shot or killed in some type of way. Like once you were eliminated, you didn't just, you know, take your loss and go back home. No, you were eliminated and you died. That was it. There was no more coming back. When they realized what elimination means, they took it to a vote after they had like a lawyer or something who actually read the contract that they signed to get in the games in the first place. They realized that they could put it to a vote and they could simply just end the game and everybody goes home. Nobody receives any money, but everyone can go home. So they end up winning the vote to end the games there. A lot of them went back to their hardships back at home, realizing that what do they have to lose? And they went back to just being broke, being whatever they were before, and struggling. So a lot of them returned back to the games to finish what they started. So we're getting ready to get into the characters that I decided to choose for this video. I will be looking at my phone because I pretty much wrote a whole script on each player that I wanted to talk about. So I might be reading a little bit, but it don't matter. Let's go ahead and get into it. So let's talk about player 199. I'm probably going to put their pictures up here somewhere. I will be reading from my phone a little bit just because I wrote out like little different points and stuff that I wanted to talk about each player. But can we talk about how player 199, Ollie, died? And I was not expecting him to die the way that he was. Like, I really thought he would have been one of the final contenders, but he wasn't. Let's get into the reasons why he actually died, though. I don't believe player 199 was exactly afraid of the games. I believe that he simply just did not set enough boundaries. He didn't protect himself. He pretty much let people walk all over him. Yes, he was one of the minorities of the show. I don't know if he was the only minority. I think there might have been one more, but I know he did go through injustices throughout the show. If you don't know who I'm talking about, go back and watch the show. He was one of my favorite characters, maybe because he was nice and considerate of other people. He was the only person that really had some kind of human decency, In the round that player 199 died, I think if he would have listened to his intuition, he might have lived, because when his opponent got back down to the last marble that he had, he became very cunning, and we'll get to that player in a second. But he became very cunning and decided to play player 199. But if you watch the video, you will know that there was some type of hesitation as they were having a conversation of trying to find other players to beat and everything like that. So if Ollie or player 199 would have listened to his intuition and his gut and set those boundaries, Ollie might have proceeded to the next round. Moving on to player 67. By far, I think player 67 was a lot of our favorites. She also had a similar story about her family getting that money to go get her brother out of foster care and then bringing her mother across the border and buying a house for them all to live in. That was the reason why she was in the game. Originally, she was a pickpocketer, when she pocketed from another player in the game, which we'll talk about him a little later too. But I believe she made it far. I did not think she was going to win the game. It was just impossible to think that she was going to win the game. But I think the way she died was so lame. So she ended up with a piece of very big glass stuck into her gut or whatever that was, but stuck into her stomach, where she ended up becoming just really too weak. Like, she didn't get to enjoy the very big dinner they had the night before, and then she ended up dying, her neck being sliced, as they were getting ready for the next game. So I think she did die kind of lame, but I am very proud that she did make it the way she did, and she definitely had goals. I want to briefly mention player 240. For one, I thought there was a love connection between her and player 67. Not gonna lie, I thought there was gonna be a kissing scene between them. It didn't happen that way. I think all of us kind of thought it. If you thought that too, comment down below. But anyway, she literally came into the game with nothing. She just got out of jail for killing her father, who was a sick man, who basically killed their mother, and then on top of that also used to violate her as a child. So she literally came in the game, nothing. She had no one, no family, no life, just straight out of jail with nothing to lose. So when it came to her, the game they played, which was also marbles, this was kind of sad because she kept mentioning to player 67 about all the things that they could do once they got out. She was like, I never thought about what to do with the money. We could do this when we get out. And then she'd be like, oh, I forgot. And then she said, we could do this when we get out. I think she mentioned a sleepover. And she'd be like, oh, I forgot, only one of us could when she sacrificed, when player 240 sacrificed herself for player 67, that was probably one of the most sad moments of the game, of the whole show. And I don't think there was really a lesson here other than the fact that she was just there for money and didn't know why she wanted the money. She literally had nothing to lose and honestly probably even nothing to live for. Player 101 and Player 212. A psychopath and a whore, which is what they called her in the film. I'm not calling her that. They literally called her that multiple times in the game. However, their relationship was so dramatic, and they were both manipulators. They both used what they were good at to maneuver in the games. So player 101 uses like tough guy act, you know, I'm a psychopath, I kill people, to make people fear him. Whereas player 212 kind of used her being a woman, I guess her body, in a way to get with the people that she thought was going to win, which ended up happening. So player 101 was a macho, a fearful guy. Player 12 saw that. She used her body and her wit to get with him so that they could eventually play games together and be a team. However, in a sexual encounter between those two, she looked him in his eyes and was literally like, and I'm paraphrasing, if you cross me, I will kill you. And if you know any woman, okay, if she says something like that, she mean it. I don't even know why people still be trying to try us like we not crazy. Anyway, she said, if you cross me, I will kill you. Once again, I'm paraphrasing. And what ended up happening? He crossed her. And I truly believe when that happened, her only mission from that point was to kill player 101. And their death together was probably one of the most cinematic scenes of the show. And I'm actually going to talk about it for a little bit. So if you guys remember, if you actually watched the show, they had the glass platform where one was real glass and one was plexiglass, whatever it's called. So one would break, one would not. It could hold up to 2 people, right? So when it came to player 101 getting to being in the front and having to jump to guess the platforms, he basically told everybody that he wasn't going, and if they wanted him to move, then they got to go first and choose the right tiles, right? Player 212 was like, all right, I'll do it, and jumped on the platform with him together and basically played him, hugged him, crossed her fingers around his body so he could not move, and leaned back. Instantly dead. That was her only mission after he crossed her. Don't cross people. Don't burn bridges, because you do not know what they are capable of. Okay? Period. Moving on to player 218. I believe 218 had the highest debt. If he didn't have the highest debt, the doctor did, but the doctor died way on. So, we all know that player 218 was so ashamed of himself that he basically told everyone that he was away in America for business. He even hid from his own mother, his own friends, out of being so ashamed. He was a thief, he was a liar, he was a manipulator, but was player 218 all bad? Like, when we think about it, like, think about the games and what exactly you had to do. I believe player 218 was one of the strongest players because he was smart, but he was also able to think quick on his feet. 218 was the one who gave them the idea when they were doing a tug of war to let go of the rope, let the other team fall, then pull it back to get the other team to fall. So that's who player 218 was. The game really tested people's human decency and friendship, and at the end of the day, he did make it to the end, but karma kind of got him. 218 is the same one that played player 199 in the marbles game, which was Ali. So karma definitely got a hold of him. Player 1. ... Moving on to the police officer, and I'm gonna try my best. I might have just butchered that. But anyways, the only lesson here with the police officer is do not go looking for things that don't want to be found. I get that he was looking for his brother, but his brother ended up being the guy in the black mask. He ended up shooting him. That sent him over that cliff. And what was it? The last episode or the second to last episode? All I gotta say is the Korean cop really dead? Because as we know with Player One, if that body was not shown dead, that character might not be dead. And if you think we're not getting a second season, I'm pretty sure you're wrong. Also, with the officer, did anybody else think that he was really gonna go down on that white guy in that one scene? Just to save his identity, because I didn't know what to think, because they got really close. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. Moving on to the frontman, which was the brother of the police officer. I still want to know why. Like, they never, and this is another reason why I think we're having a season 2, because they never talked about why he was a frontman. Like, was he a player and then became a part of the game? Like, what happened? How did he get in that position? And you could always tell, like, he was never the one actually calling the shots. Like, even in the beginning, you could tell. He was never the one actually calling the shots. He was just acting as a mere puppet along with the minions. So I want to know, what was it that he had to gain from being the one overseeing, being the manager of the Squid Games? That I just want to know. Like, I don't have any clue to why he would do that. There's no clue in the show as to why he became that person. So I'm really excited when we get a second to see why he became the front man. Moving on to the last player that I am going to talk about. Player 456. Player 456 probably gave us the biggest lessons of the show. He was broke, in debt. He had a daughter that he was barely taking care of. He had a mother who worked so hard in the beginning, and it showed. He originally, in the beginning, he came into some money, gambling, and then, of course, went and gambled it some more. And then ended up running into some people that he owed old debts to, where he then ran into player 67, who was pickpocketer, and pickpocketed the money that he currently had. He ended up showing great compassion in the games. However, I found it really hard to watch him play against that old man, which was player number 1, which is technically when player 1 died. But it was just really hard watching him play against him and watching him play him, because it was really set up for player 456 to lose. He ended up winning against player 218, thus winning the money overall. At the end, he did try to stop the games and try to get player 218, because there was only 2 of them. Both of them needed to say, we're in the games now, we're not taking any money home, and therefore he was like trying to get player 218 to quit the game so they could both go home alive. Player 218, if you guys know, took his death like a warrior, and hey, big dog, do what you gotta do. You won fair and square, like, that was iconic. But he ended up winning the money. He went back home, sad, didn't know much of what to do. When he came back home, he realized that his mother was dead. His daughter was moving to America with the mother and her new husband, I think. I'm not sure if they ever clarified if that was the husband or just like a boyfriend or something. But ended up losing her daughter. And then he basically went back to living life the same way he did before. So he ended up being homeless, and he went back to basically having no money or acting like he had no money, thus leaving 45 million yen in the bank untouched. I believe in that moment, after he won the money and getting back and realizing that he couldn't help his mother because his mother had passed away and his daughter was essentially gone to America, he realized that money was not everything. And I think a lot of us realize that, especially a lot of people who actually come into money finally realize that money isn't everything, especially if you don't have anyone to share that joy with. Now, does money help in this material life that we are in? Absolutely. I want money, but I want it in a proper way. Like, I don't want to go through the games and have a whole bunch of people die. 455 players die because I wanted money. But in the end, after talking to the old man, because the old man ended up not being dead, he ended up meeting him basically on his deathbed. They did another game, and I'll let you guys watch that. They played one more game. Old man ended up dying. But after that, the player 456 ended up basically saying, well, I'm going to use this money and go see my daughter. As he was going to get on the plane, he saw the recruiter, which is the same recruiter he had, playing, I can't remember what the game was where they had to flip over the other card or whatever it was. He saw that game being played again. He basically tried to go save the guy so he wouldn't end up playing those games because he thought the games were unfair. Now, with that, he called the number on the card as he was getting on the plane, and they were like, hey, don't try nothing stupid. Go get on the plane and go see your daughter, right? And I'm like, it just kind of ends right there. Like, did he get on the plane? Another reason why I think we get in season 2. Did he get on the plane and go see his daughter? Do you think he went to go see his family? Or was he so upset with the games that he felt like he needed to make a change of the games instead of spending the rest of the time and the rest of the money that he won to go be with his family? But with this, there are so many players that I could talk about, like the wife and the husband, which was another side death. In the marbles game, again, you picked a partner, but they didn't tell you why you were picking a partner. You ended up having to play against your partner. And if you lost, we all know that you were eliminated. Husband ends up beating his wife, and the wife dies. Husband comes back and wants to stop the game, but nobody wants to stop the games because it's only a few of them, and they're like, why would we stop the games? We're already so close. He ended up committing suicide the next morning. So, with that being said, there's a lot to talk about. There are a lot of characters that we could talk about. There were characters in the beginning. That we could talk about, but these are the characters that I'm going to just talk about for now. At the end of the day, can money really buy you happiness, or does it just bring you temporary happiness? Does it matter how you got the money? Does it matter what you had to do for that money? Does it matter how much? In the US, 45 million yen equals to about 400,000 USD. Is that worth it? All I have to say now is just really be careful what you wish for. And on that note, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I will talk to you next time. Of course, we got to be safe out here. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.